Hello, colleagues. How are you guys doing? Hello.
Afternoon, sir.
How's it going?
It's
How's it? How's it? Are you good?
it's cold. How are you?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are rested. Okay, so just continuing from where we left off yesterday, and then we just need to finish up on the building blocks here of JavaScript. Like as I said, that the operators and um, the strings, like how these operators work. So I will start from here. This is where I'm going to start from. Okay. Because yesterday we spoke about, like, you remember, we just introduced the data types and the math, or the math operate, what math is, what string is, and then the methods or functions that are brought by the string and the math part there. And then we also spoke about the date and its related methods. And then we looked at the objects, like the document object and the navigator object, the window object, things like that. And then we looked at comments that you use in JavaScript. Now, the next thing I was left were like the arrays and things like that. But I want to take things a little bit kind of slow, because I do not want here to go way ahead of myself. So today I'm going to start from the operators. So we're going to look at operators a little bit more in detail, so that we can understand, and then from there, and then we can get to the use. And the reason why, guys, we do all this theory is so that you guys can understand the basics, like behind each and every function that we use, or each and every piece of code that we're going to be using. Because it's pointless for you guys just to go straight into code without understanding how the code works. So for you to understand code, you have to understand the theory behind that particular code, so that you can know, if when you get to use code, when you see me saying x is equals to y plus z, for instance, you know where I'm getting that from. You know, you know where I started, you know where I'm going. That's the whole point. That is why we do this, so that we can get a basic and better understanding of the things that we're doing. So now, starting here. So an operator, we know that operators are used to perform certain functions. And then we've got different types of operators. For instance, here, the very first operator that we have, we've got that equal sign. Now, notice that equal sign there, we are using it here to assign values. That's what we use an equal sign for, is to assign values. An equal sign is never used for comparison. You cannot compare, like for instance, if you want to compare if y is the same value as 5. So if you want to compare that, you do not use an equal sign. An equal sign is simply used to assign. For instance, if I say y is equals to 5, I'm literally saying I'm assigning y, I'm assigning 5 to y. So which means y is then represented by a 5. So every time whenever I call it y, instead of it running y, it's going to run 5. That's what it's going to show. So here, for instance, that is an assigner. An equal sign becomes an assigner. While it's now a plus is used to add two values. That is what a sign is used. It's just used to add two values, but not just add, but a sign is also used to combine, which is something called concatenate. We also use a sign to combine values there. So a sign is used for that, for those two things there. So let me just write it here more as a comment. Just give me a second. I was saying that here, plus is also used to join two variables, two or more variables. This process here is called concatenation. And we use an operator to join two values. So we are concatenating. That's what we're talking about there. So yeah, that is a comment there. So now notice here, in this case here, it is not exactly being used as to join, but it is simply used to add. This is also another point of us using an equal sign, a plus sign. We used it to add. For instance, you assigned y to a value of 5, and then you assigned 2 to that variable called z. So you've got two variables. You've got y and you've got z. So y was assigned a value of 5, and 2 was assigned a value, z was assigned a value of 2. So now if we have another variable called x, and then we say that x is equals to y plus z. So what we're simply saying here is x is a sum of those two variables that you have there, of which the variable y is represented by a 5 and the z is represented by a 2. So therefore, the value for x therefore becomes 5 plus 2 to give you that particular 7 there. That's why you have the 7. Because now, as much as you're working with variables, these variables, they've got values that we assign to them. So we just added them there. So the next up here is arithmetic operators. So these here are operators that we have that have been added. So these operators here, like for instance, the y is an arithmetic, the plus is an arithmetic operator. It's an arithmetic operator because it does just that the two jobs there. One is an arithmetic operator, and also it's going to be a text operator later. And then we've got a subtraction, which is normal subtraction. We use that to subtract values. That's what we simply use it for, to subtract values there. And then a multiplication is used to multiply values, which is represented by an asterisk or a star. So this thing here is called an asterisk, which is a star. And then what is a division? Like we've got two types of divisions that we have. Excuse me. So those two types of divisions that we have, we've got a normal division, which will simply give you a normal answer. For instance, if I say 5 divided by 2, I'll get 2.5. So that one is a normal division there that returns either an integer or it can return a float. Doesn't really matter, but that division there will give you an answer that is either an integer or a float. So advisable, it is always better if you are going to deal with divisions, always declare floats. Don't really use integers for that, because if your answer is a fraction, it needs to be represented as a float. But remember also, integers can be represented as floats, but you can't represent a float as an integer because a float has got a comma. Integers do not have the commas. So, and then we also have something called modulus. Now, modulus is a form of division, but with modulus here, this division here gives you a remainder. It doesn't give you the answer, but it gives you the remainder. E.g., if you say 5 modulus 2, which is 5% 2. So 5 modulus 2 will give you a 1, because 5 divided by 2 is going to give you 2 remainder 1. So now 2 remainder 1, that answer, that 1 there is the modulus. Hence, it is the one that is shown there. So same applies. If I say 7 modulus 3, for instance, 7 modulus 3. So I'm basically dividing 7 by 3. And then if I divide 7 by 3, oh, okay, let me divide 7 by 4. I think, yeah, 7 by 4 is better. So 7 modulus 4. So if I say 7 modulus 4, I know that it will give me 1 remainder 3. So if I 7 divided by 4, it will give me 1 remainder 3. So in this case here, modulus is going to be 7 modulus 2 is going to give me an answer of 3, because it only gives me a remainder. That's what the simple does. And then the next up there, the next operator is something called an increment. Increment simply means increase the value by 1. That's what an increment. So it means every time whenever a code runs and encounters an increment, it increases that value by 1. So if your y is 5, and then you say plus 5, and then when you run the code, it executes, give you a 6. It comes again, check. If the plus is still there, it will run again, increment it to 7. Again, increments it 8. Again, increments it to 9, like that, depending on how many times you're running the code. And then a decrement also is a negative. So whereby now I'll give an example that x is equals to negative y. So 2 minus there, which means you are decreasing the value of that particular thing. And hence now from 5, which means you have to move down to 4. You have to move down to 4. So that there is, these are some of the things that we have in terms of this. And then now the plus operator, remember I spoke about the plus operator being used on strings. So we say that a plus operator can also be used on strings. That is another thing. We can use a plus operator on strings. So now for us to use a plus operator on strings, this is what you simply do. It is used, this is where a plus operator is. A plus operator is basically used to, a plus operator is used to, I'm trying to see if I can get a console. Okay, I'll deal with the console later. A plus operator is then used also in strings. So it is used basically to add strings or text values together. Like for instance, what a very nice day, that's text one. Text two is what a very, that's text one. Text two is nice day. So if I say maybe txt3, txt3 is basically tx1 plus tx2, and then it is going to simply give me something. So if I do this, and then it's supposed to say what a very nice day. That's what it's simply going to give me, because this is what I have. So it simply joins these two strings together. You also need to be careful. And you notice here what in this part here that I've highlighted, this one here down. Notice here what a very nice day. Very nice is one word. The reason why it's one word is because up here, a nice day, it didn't leave space. Also up there, very, it didn't leave any space there. So now if you do not leave any space, also when you join these two strings, you're going to leave space. You need to be careful with that part. So yes.
I wanted to ask you, you leave the space just before the inverted or after?
Sorry.
You leave space before the inverted commas or after?
Okay, it's up to you on how you do it. You can leave the space before, or you can do the second thing that that I'm showing you now. The second thing that I'm showing you now. Notice here at the end where I'm highlighting here at the end. Can you see this stuff here? txt3 is equals to txt1 plus, and then you've got a bracket with an open space. I mean, not a bracket, like two quotes with an open space in between, and then plus txt2. So
Yes.
when you do that, you literally leave a space. So now it will leave that entire space there. See that space there has been left. So it's either you do it like that, or you are going to, like, after what a very, and then from there, before you close your quotes, and then you just open a space. And then you leave it just before. Sorry?
No, I was saying it's clear, sir, the way you're explaining it now.
All right. So that is how you can leave the space either in two. You can hard code it by simple. Like when you're writing your string, leave that in that space for spaces. But I would not advise on that. What I'll advise is this option here. This option here, txt3, txt1 plus, and then you've got your two quotes with a space in between, and then plus txt2. So already now, when you do this, you already know that I'm supposed to have a space in between these two txts, these two variables that we have. Right. And then the comparison operator. Now, notice before I was talking about a plus, I mean an equal. One equal is an assigner. If you're using one equal, you are literally assigning. You are simply saying the value for this thing is equals to that. That's what you are simply saying. So if you say y is equals to 5, you're not saying 5 and y are equal. No, you are simply saying 5, you have a value. I mean y, you have a value of 5. Can you notice the difference between the statements that I just spoke about now? Y is equals to 5. Y is equals to 5 simple means that y and 5, I'm not saying that they're equal, but I am giving y a value of 5. So which means y is now 5. So every time whenever I call y, I'm returning a 5. Every time I call y, I'm returning a 5 because y has been assigned a new value. But now when it comes to a comparison, if you want to compare now, if two things are the same, you have to make use of what we call a comparison operator. That is what you have to make use of, a comparison operator. A comparison operator now tries to equate these two things together. It tries to see, okay, is what I have on the left the same as what I have on the right? E.g., if I say x is equal to 8, like this here, obviously what I'm going to get is a false because x and 8 are not the same. Whether I have given x a value or not, x and 8 are never the same. But if I say x is equal to x, it is going to return a true because x and x are the same. If I say 8 equal to 8 or 5 plus 3 equal to 8, that then will give me will return a true for me because already now you notice that what you have on the left hand side and on the right hand side, they are the same. Right. And then we also have those 3 equals. Yeah? I'm not going to do this because you hardly ever use this one here. You will hardly ever use this one here. And then, but it simple means it's exactly equal to. That's what it simple means there. So this is basically almost similar to this. They're almost similar. And then now, the next one here is exclamation equals to. Exclamation equals to means is not equal to. That's what exclamation equal means, is not equal to. So x exclamation equal 8, like this. X exclamation equal to 8 is true because we know that x and 8 are not the same. X and 8 are not the same. So hence this here is true. But if I say 8 or 5 plus 3 exclamation equal to 8, here I will return a false because 8 and 8 are the same because 5 plus 3 is 8. So 8 and 8 are the same. It's supposed to return a true, not a false. So, and then we've got other operators here like greater than, where we're checking if the numbers are greater or less than, which is another thing. Then there's greater or equals to, and then there's less or equals to. These are some of the comparison operators that you'll be using, and we'll be using this a lot, the comparison operators. And then notice here, we're checking here. So you're given here that if in brackets age is less than 18, then document.write to young. So every time this one checks, it checks the value that you have assigned to age. And then now, after checking that value that you have assigned to age, and then it will see, like, let's say if you assign to age a value of 15. So it will say, is 15 less than or is 15 less than 18? And then if it is true, if it returns a true, this part here, and then it will come and write to young. But otherwise, if it's not, and then it is not going to compute this part here. So this part here, this code is only executed if the statement above here is true. So I'll write this also as a comment that this code you see that? So this part here, this code here, is only executed if this statement is true. So if this statement here that we have is true, if that statement that we have there is true, and then that's only time whenever you're going to have a result there. That is using an if statement. We're going to talk about these conditional statements so sometime though. And then we've got logical operators. Now, logical operators are simple joining, they're simple checking. Sometimes you can have more than one condition. Like for instance, here we had one condition if age is 18. But now notice here, we can say if let's say you've got two conditions that you need to meet before you write a statement there, you make use of logical operators. And means that these two conditions that you have, they have to be true. Like for instance, x less than 10 and y less than 1. If both conditions are met, then this particular statement becomes true. But if only one of them is met and the other one is not met, this statement here will become false, because and means that both statements there they have to be true. The statement here, it has to be true for both items there. So the statement is true only if these two conditions here are validated. And then now this one here, notice means or. It means or, that one there. It means or. So with or, now, with or, what it simply means that one of these conditions has to be met for this statement to be true. One of these conditions has to be met for the statement to be true. But if one of the conditions here, if both conditions are met, or one of the conditions, you see that, so and then, which means what you call this? If one of the conditions here is met, it will still give you a true. If both conditions are met, it will still give you a true. But if both conditions are not met, and then it will give you a false. So that is the idea behind the or the dot dash dash there. We've got the and means both conditions have to be met. What is or means only one of the conditions have to be met for the statement to be true. And then this one here, exclamation, means not. That's what the exclamation simple means. It means not. So not as in the statement there, it doesn't necessarily need to be true. So not is equals to true. You see that? So not x equal to 5. So by saying that not x equal to 5. So I mean equal to y. So now if x, and like here we said x is equals to 5 and x is equals to 5. Notice here we know that x and 5 are not the same, y and 5 are not the same, so which means this one is false because both conditions are not met here. But now notice here we are saying x equal to y. So is x and y the same? Not really. So when I'm saying not, x and y are not the same, isn't it? So because x and y are not the same, so normally if I do not have the not part, if I say x equal to y, I'm supposed to have a false. But because here I put an exclamation outside, I am negating anything that I have here. The statement here negates. It's a simple gives you an otherwise answer. It negates everything that you have written here. That's what the statement does. It negates that. So the exclamation negates anything. So if your answer here is true, and then it will make the answer false if you put that. But if your answer is false, it will make the answer to be true. That's what the not operator does. It simple negates. And then conditional statement. Now a conditional statement is then that's what I was talking about. Like those are statements that we use in there that use a certain condition. So they assign a value to a variable based on a condition. You see, so a condition has to be met for a value to be assigned to that particular scenario that you have. So, and then the scenario now is variable name is equals to condition, and then value 1, value 2, they're each. Now they're giving us something like this here. They're saying that greeting, which is a variable name there, equals to, in brackets, the condition is visitor equals press. And then dear president, tier, something like that. So now the values here is if visitor is same as pres, and then it's supposed to write dear president. But otherwise, if the visitor is not the same as the pres, and then which means it's supposed to write something else, supposed to write dear and then leave it blank there. That is the condition. So this is one way also of doing the if statement. For instance, if you do not want to say if what is equals to what, then you can use this conditional operator there. So of which most conditional operators, they are actually based on the if statements. So here is an if statement, if condition, and then inside that condition, you have a code of a code block that needs to be executed only if the statement that you have up here is true. That is what I said before, that this condition, this code here can only be executed if this condition is true. But if this condition is false, your code will simply terminate without running this, because this condition has to be met for this code of block or for this code block to be executed. And then literal values. These are values that you type into a mathematical or string operator or string expressions. Like for instance, you've got 23, which is an integer, that is a literal value there. And then you've got a string, which is also another literal value. Then you've got floating points, which are also literal values. But the ones that we use the most are these two, a string and an integer. These are the two literal values that we have. So these are the values that we literally type in whenever we need to. And then we've got 5 special characters. Now we've got special characters that we use also in coding, like for instance, /b, /b, which is backspace, /m, which is form feed, /n, which means write a new line, /r, which means carriage return, /t, simple means tab. So these are the special characters that we use. They've got their own functionalities, but it's easy to understand them once you see them in action, of which you're going to do that. So now notice here, a function will be executed by an event or by a call of the function. So now literally we've got an HTML code here that we have. So let me see if I can just paste this on thing here. Can you guys see this? My presentation on the side. Let me just check if I can see. I need to also check on my own. Okay. I see I only have half of my screen, so let me do this. I want to share both parts of my screen here. Can't share both. Come on. Okay, I'm just gonna do this. Okay, I think you guys can see this. Yeah, I can see, you guys can see it. So now,
Yes, sir.
I'm doing this here. I'm trying something. Let me just call it trial. Yeah, and then I'll make it HTML because it is HTML, but it's a very, very basic form of HTML. Notice here, I wrote some JavaScript inside this HTML, this part here. It's JavaScript that is written in the head that we have here, which is basically JavaScript, but it's not going to run. It's not going to run. I have a reason why it's not going to run. But and then you've got the head here, you've got the body, and in the body you also have script, JavaScript there. See, notice here. So we've got two scripts that we have that are written in the HTML code here that we have. And if I will come to the document here, open. And then I run that part. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, we'll wait, computer. Okay, it's running in the background. Notice here, that entire code that we wrote gives us some sort of solution. Excuse me. Notice here, we used a function called product. And what is product? Product is taken from there. So in the section function that we have function, and then we call it a function called product. Then that product has got two variables that we have inside. And then we know that product simple means multiply. And then it has two variables inside. The variables are A and B. So we define a function there with two variables or two parameters A and B. And then we're saying that return A times B. That is what is supposed to return this particular function here. This is more like C. And then from there, and then this was in the head. This was all done in the head. And then from there, now, if you come down here, we simply running a script that is based on the Java there. But what is the script? The script is this part of the code there. So now we're just saying document.write, and then we're saying product 4,3. So now what we're doing, we're simply returning back those two. This product here, this function is the one that we're calling here. We're literally calling that function. But now we're giving it proper values now. So if we say A times B, in this case, which is A, which is 4, B, which is 3. So I'm simply saying 4 times 3 to give me an answer of 12 that we have on the right hand side there of the screen. So that is what we have. So can you see that? So you can even edit this. The answer is, and then leave a space like that, and then plus. Notice what I just did now. I just tweaked it a little bit there, and then save, and then let's run. Let's hope it's going to show. You see, the answer is 12 because of that. But you notice I left space from there. That question that Nomfundo was asking, I left space here. But normally I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to say, that plus plus equals 2, and then leave the open space. But still the same thing. So technically, this I'm saying this is where we start. But anyway, now when it comes to JavaScript, JavaScript is far more not complex, but it is far more information than just what we're currently covering right now. There's a lot more. So hence now, okay, I don't want to do arrays yet. So let me just stop before I go too far. I'll just stop here before I go too far. Then so that we can go back now to recap. So technically now, this is your introduction to JavaScript. And then now what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you some practical use of JavaScript. Like for instance, what I just showed you here. I'm going to show you some practical use of JavaScript, starting from basic things. So what I'm going to be using there, I'm going to look for a web console for JavaScript that we can use for us to start with our JavaScript programming that we can introduce, and then from there, and then we can always extend into the basic, into the concepts, and then we learn more as we go. But so far, so good. So just like some sort of introduction. I'm just looking for a web console that we can write and run code at the same time. I'm sorry, I'm still looking. I'm just looking for something that I can use.
Mr. TC?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm here. Don't worry. Okay, I think I'll rather use this. Let me use this one. I'm using the one from Code Academy. I'm going to use it on this PC right here. Okay, let me share from here. I'll use Code Academy one because it's just basic things that I want to show you. Okay, can you guys see this now?
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now notice here. Okay, notice here. We have something like this that's been given. Let me format this code here. Okay, so the very first thing that I want us to look at here is something called is something that we call okay. Okay, it's something that we call thingy, declaring variables. That is one of the first things that I need you guys to understand. How do you declare variables in JavaScript? How do we do that? How do we declare variables in JavaScript? So for us to declare variables in JavaScript, there is certain things that we do. So of which the very first thing that you need to do is you calling out a what you call this is you calling out a var. That is the very first thing. So let me start there. Let me do this. So now you call out var first. So now when you say var, we say that, remember from yesterday's class, you said that when you are declaring variables in JavaScript, you do not need to show or you do not need to tell it what data type it is. That's the first thing. You do not need to tell what data type it is. So we don't need that. We don't need to know what data type that you have, what data type that you're going to use. We simply need you to show that, okay, the name or the name of the variable is this. So when you say var, which means the next thing that comes up is the actual name of the variable. For instance, let's have a variable called my name. Okay, my name. Let me use something called camel case, which is very good programming principle. This here is called camel case. So camel case now says that whenever you are dealing with if you are dealing with variables, never start a variable with a capital letter. Never start a variable with a capital letter. You can never do that. The moment that you start a variable with a capital letter, you're going to have a problem. And the problem that you're going to have, or the problem that you are going to face, is a problem that deals with, especially like most of these programming languages are very case sensitive. They are very mindful of the case that you use. So you should be very careful not to use capital letters mostly to name variables, especially. So never use that. Never use that. So that is why we need to be able to, like, we need to be very, very, very careful, especially when it comes to things like that. So anyway, now a variable, we studied like that. We give it what we call a camel case. The very, very first word, you cannot make it a capital, but you can make capital in between, especially if, let's say, there's there's something that you are typing up. For instance, if you say my name, surname, you can do this. You can have two camel cases if you want to put a distinction between the two. So equals to, and then in this case here, and then you just write whatever that you need to write. Notice I am writing a string, hence a string has to be in quotes. It has to be in quotes. That is how a string has to be. So in this case here, I'll just put that and then tag like that. And then all, like, remember, I was speaking about the importance here of you understanding, especially the syntax. So syntax matters. If you do not, if let's say I just do this name, and then notice what's going to happen. So for instance, if I want to print, because I am using a console here, I'm going to use console.log. If I'm using a website, I'm going to use document.write. There's a difference between the two. So there's document.write, and then there's console.log because I'm using a console. So I have to call my variable here, my name. And then from there, let's say I'm done and I forgot to terminate. And then from there, and then I say run. Okay, it gives me an answer. But now, if you check here, if okay, because I'm using a console doesn't, it's a little bit less forgiving. But for instance, let's say I made a mistake here. Is this case sensitive? Notice here. Do you see that? Do you see what I'm getting there? So I'm gonna get a lot of errors there. So this here shows that something is wrong with my syntax there. Console.my name, like that says something is wrong, and then says reference error. My name is not defined, so I did not define the name there. Which means here they're telling me that it is line 2 where I have the problem, the error there, and then I need to go through my code for me to check there. So I'll go through my code and check. My name is not declared. It's not declared. This is my name that I have, and my name at the top there is got a capital N, which is very case sensitive. So I need to fix that. If I fix that, and then I also need to terminate because that's good programming principle. And then in JavaScript, if you're not using a console, you need to do this. And then now when you do that, then it does that. So it does the item for you. And then, for instance, let's say we need to declare another variable, var, and then I'll say number. This is equals to or assign. I need to assign 12. That is the number that I'm assigning. And then var number or age. You guys will tell me what's the difference between this age, and then the age is like that. And then, yeah. And then from the console, this time I'm going to do something different. Notice I wrote a whole bunch of statements here. So now if I run this here, it's supposed to basically combine all these string elements that I have and then form an answer there. Run. See that? My name is Tabo. I am that. Okay, my English is weird there. Bit. Yeah. See that? And then am I supposed to have a thingy? Oh yeah. So yeah, I made a mistake here. So it's supposed to be like this and space this side. Grammar. So there we go. See that? So this is basically me using a bit of JavaScript, but this is like basic JavaScript for me to perform a bunch of like something there. For me to perform something. So that is JavaScript that is being used there. So remember, we've got this here, which is an assign operator. We've got this here, which is a variable name. And then this here tells us that I am dealing with a variable right now. And then what we have this side are things that are assigned to the variables that we have. And then the plus operator here is a joiner. That's what we're using the plus operator for. We're simply using it to join things together. We're simply using it to join things together. So for instance, now, if let's say now let's assign another variable. For instance, we assign a variable like I'll call it favorite food. Basic things, favorite food, and then the favorite food here is pizza. And then if I run this, it's simply supposed to give me exactly the very same thing there. Excuse me. Like that, run. See, just returns that pizza thing there that we have. You can do that. So it is up to you as to like how you want to deal with this, especially when it comes to you running your code. You can do anything. Like there's a lot of things that you can literally do there. All right. So do you guys get this for now?
Yes, sir.
All right. So that is it about
That's that easy.
yes, sir.
So like when you're saying okay, line number 2, ne?
Yeah.
On your code there, line number 2, console.log favorite food. So is that the navigation? Like when you click on favorite food, it's gonna show pizza, or like I'm confused now.
No, favorite food is a variable. It's the name of the variable. So var, remember, it says that I'm dealing with a variable here. And then favorite food is the variable that I have. So this variable here is like a container. It's like a container that I have that is basically that I'm keeping on hold for me to be able to store the value that I need. And then the value that I need to store inside that variable is called pizza.
So I
Eh? Hello.
look for sir.
Mm,
Yes, I'm saying I'll look for it.
you look for it.
I'll look for it. It's you. Yeah.
No, like okay. Okay, I'll explain after this. Matome,
Sir.
What's up?
Okay. It is possible that we can get that PDF you're with it like today or tomorrow. So start
Oh,
on
that
it soon.
PDF. Yeah, I'll send it to Spanello and then he's gonna upload it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I think the problem might be the text. So yeah, it's text. That might be the problem. Otherwise, you'll get it too.
You
So
get
to
it.
understand it. Yes.
Yeah.
Because it sounds familiar.
Yeah, I know it takes a little bit of time, but you get it. It's like here we're just introduce like when we're introducing these things, we do not try to give you a lot of things.
So it is similar to HTML. Ne?
Not really, but you'll be using it in conjunction with HTML, but it is not similar. Now, this one here is basically like a proper programming language. If you guys did a bit of Java, so I can say that it is almost similar to Java, even though you'll be making use of it under HTML, or you're going to have a separate document that you have, but that's going to be borrowing some of the uses there according to HTML. So basically, we be borrowing stuff from HTML. Actually, we'll be borrowing stuff from JavaScript to use in HTML. It's the other way.
Oh, so the file will be external or internal.
It's going to be external. So there's going to be a link inside your HTML document that refers to JavaScript, and then JavaScript though is going to be written in the external. Just that's the same way that we're doing CSS.
Thank you.
All right. Wesley, you're saying something?
I think Matomo just asked what, like, okay, I was gonna ask if so we're gonna, like, our index is gonna consist of 3 pages now, for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
Your index, yes,
Yes.
sort of, yeah, sort of. So it's going to consist of things like that. So if I'll put it, okay, let me do this. So now what we usually do is we usually operate this with let me stop sharing and then let me go back to using my computer so that you guys can see. Because I want to make use of this in a okay, let me do this name. Let me just make a very simple website. Let me do this. Like this particular website that we have from before. Let me just share that. Share. Okay, so I'm just gonna delete everything in the body here, and then I'll delete everything here in the head, and then it's a website there. Let me just run this. Then it's empty. Can you see that? So you've got the head, and then you've got the body, you've got HTML there. Like, remember, it's a simple website. I don't have to put anything else. So let me just put that normal thing for the doc type here. Machine doc type. And then yeah, like that. Okay, so and then inside here, I'll put, so this is how usually JavaScript works. Oh, okay, let me put a title for our website here, and then I'll call it simple HTML, CSS, H, like that. And yep. Oh, not like that. And then management title. And then from there, and then I need to write a script here inside, which is a JavaScript. Because I'm working with JavaScript, I always have to call out a script. My script source is coming from, you notice here, script source. So I'm simply telling it that get a script source from somewhere. My script source is a file called script.js, because this is JavaScript. So I'm getting a file like that there, and then I have to close my script here. Like that. I'm done with this part here. So now the second part is for me to go to that document where I have this file here. I need to find where I saved this file. Okay, there we go. And it doesn't have structure really, so I just saved it somewhere. So even here, this is where I'm going to create also the other document. What do I do here? New. Can I do Notepad++? No. Okay, let me just create it here, and then I'll save it inside there. So I'll create a new document that we have. The very first thing that I need to do is to save as, see, and then from there, okay, it's exactly the same place, and then I'm gonna give it that name, the script.js. Let me just say script, and then from there, and then here, and then I'm going to look for JS, where is JavaScript, which is this one here. Script.js. You notice script, and then you already put that JS on its own. I didn't even put it there. Excuse me. So there we go. So now what I'm gonna do is I'll put a comment here just to show you what this is done. Function to create a new HTML element with special attributes. Attributes. So what kind of attributes you want to do? So here, what I'm gonna do, I'm going to style this document at the same time, write some JavaScript code there. So now, if we're doing this, some new attributes there, I'm done with that particular explanation. So now I need now to say, okay, I need to create a document because this particular document that I have, let me save this. Let me save this. And then now if I run this, notice it just changes there at the top because I haven't written any content. Notice my website doesn't have any content. And then here is no content here. And then I want to put like some stuff. So here I just want to show you how these things how these things work. But I'm trying to see how these things are going to do. But anyway, now what we're doing here, I want to show you, like, this is what we're learning. We're just learning, like, how exactly does JavaScript manipulate HTML elements and styles? How exactly does that happen? So now, in websites or in any web app, we'll be using a lot of these. Even in apps, do you know, like, we use JavaScript for almost anything. For mobile apps, we use JavaScript. Even for games, if you guys didn't know, we actually use JavaScript, even for designing games. So now, on this note here, and I see if is what I'm right is the stuff that I'm writing, is it really visible? Okay, I think so. Okay, let me do this. Let me use this comment. That and then see, because it's a little bit bigger, because that one is a little bit small. Okay, so now guys, can you just give me a couple of minutes? Maybe I just need to run down here. I'll be back now. Okay, back. So let's carry on. Okay, where was I? Yeah. All right, so now, aside that, now we want to see certain aspects, certain things here. And the things that you want to see is how, like that relationship between JavaScript and the elements in JavaScript and the elements in JavaScript and what you call and CSS and HTML. How exactly do you do that? So now, okay, so where was I? The JavaScript. So now I say that now function, what a function here that we can use to create a new HTML attribute, a special attribute using JavaScript. So now the thing with JavaScript is it uses a lot of functions. That is one thing that you learn to do with time. We're going to be making use a lot. We'll be making use like we'll be using a lot of functions. So here in this case here, I'm going to write a function. And then this particular function is going to have a name, just like for instance, a variable, like we were doing a variable before. So we said a variable, that's time we say var, and then we give a variable name. So same applies. The same way that you deal with the variables is exactly the same way that you deal with a function. You give a function, you call out the function. Now, whatever that you write when you say function, which means what comes next is the name of that particular function. And then the name of this particular function is this one there. It says create a new element. So I'll call it create element. So that's what I'll call this particular function there, create element. It's going to be quite a simple thing, but the code here is going to be something else. And then I'll just call it tag name. I'm not gonna give it a name there. And then I'll call it attributes. And I'll explain as to why, like I don't wanna do names and things like that. So here, what I just want to introduce to you guys here is the aspect of coding CSS. It is that the aspect of coding CSS. So now the aspect of coding CSS is you understanding that, okay, I have a function, I have a function name, I have a variable, I have a variable name, and then the variable name is like this, and then it works like that. But it doesn't help you also on the side every time learning about how to add 1 + 1 using code, how to add 2 plus 2, how to join name, your name and your surname using code. It doesn't help you because that's not how coding works. That is how you get introduced to coding. But how then do you make use of those things in real life? This is how we make use of those things in real life. So now you've got the function there. The function here is called create element. And then inside this function here, it has parameters. And the parameter is the first parameter. Remember that the thing that we say a function called product. And then inside that function, we had the first element or that first tag that was A, and the second one was B. It was A and B in that thing that that I wrote earlier. And then A and B, those were the two items that we had. And then from there, then you just simple multiplying them, calling them as a function, multiplying and then getting an answer. That is basically the same here. That is exactly the same thing that you're doing. But here we're not multiplying, but we've got the name of the tag and we've got the attributes. But now we need to know now what those things are. So I'm going to call now a constant element. All of these things, they can have their names there. And then this one, we're going to assign it to document. Document dot, we need to call out this thing here, this function, this function that we wrote here. Remember that, because now, and then inside, we just want to call the tag name, there. I think I need to make this a little bit bigger now because it's not going to work out. Tag name like that, Nate, and then now. Okay, I hear you. And then, okay, I think so far, so. Now, next up now, because we've used the tag name, the name of the tag, and then the name of the tag is the tag that you want to do. Okay, what do we call a tag, by the way? What is a tag? When you're talking about a tag, what are you talking about? Have you guys seen a tag before? Hello? Guys?
So can you please repeat the question?
I'm saying, are we together?
Yes,
Or
sir.
should I start afresh with something simpler?
So
Yeah.
together, I think we just need to revise again. So
To revise.
yes, then I think we'll get it.
Okay. All right. Because I'm thinking here, okay, let me do this. Let me try to Then I'll come back to this. Let me try to find something that is a little bit simpler to swallow up. And now the problem is now doing these things here. I prefer to, deal with these things head on so that you guys can learn how to use it. That's the thing. I don't want to make it too easy for you guys. But anyway, let me do this now. Let me just write one. I'll come back to this part here. Let me go back here to this part here. Let's say, okay, simple CSS page like this, ne? Inside there. And then I just want to make use of a JavaScript, same JavaScript, but without the element. And then I'll go back to the element is like after this, so that you guys can see a more practical use of, because this one here is going to have a lot of JavaScript code. This one, it's going to have a lot of JavaScript code. So let me make it a little bit light. Let me see if I can make it a little bit light. So like that, and then okay, let me style it. I'm just gonna use what you call. I'm just gonna use CSS, but internal CSS. So I'll use internal CSS. Now let's use those two fonts. Now I don't wanna bring a background color. That works better. F0, F0. Yep. And then align. And then I'm going to send it. Like that. And then I'm gonna put a header. Oh, which one? In these two. Just put a color here of let me just throw around some colors from Spawn. And then paragraph. Okay. What should I put under paragraph here? I'm supposed to indent these things. Okay, indent and then a parallel. Okay, this is okay. And then this time, notice before we're using links. Now I want us to make use of a button, so that you guys understand that with this JavaScript here, this is now when we can like full use of a button. So I'll just do a little bit of padding. Padding here of 10 px and 20 px. And then pick color. And there to be my James Bond. And put some color. My H1. Then color. Let me wait. So we'll see. If we need to change, we'll change. And if we need to do that, and color. And we need a radius. Okay, border radius and then 5px. You won't see anything for now. I'll explain this as we go. And then we want a cursor, because like I'm just wasting time here. All right, let's see. I think we're done with the CSS side. So I can now, yeah, we're done with the styling aspect here. So style, just making something quite small. Right, now under the head, this is part of the head. So let me just, why, oh, why is not shaping here. Then inside the body here, I'm just gonna have something written. Let me have a heading. I called H1 before, so hi. This is a simple. This is a simple HTML, HTML, CSS page. Then H1, and then now I need a paragraph inside, and then the paragraph I'm going to say welcome to my page with CSS and JS, and then that P CSS and JavaScript there. And then from there, I also need a button. And this particular button there, I want something to happen so that when you're doing the so I need to create what they call an on-click event for that particular button there. And then I want it to change. So let me say change text. So I want it to change text there. That's what I want it to do. So so the text is going to change. That's what the only thing that I need. So I want the text of the content to change when the pattern is clicked. Something is supposed to happen. So that's what I simply wanted to do. So let's do that. So now, but we have to write that code, that the JavaScript for it to do that. So change script, change text there, and then like that, and then but I want the pattern to write. And then I close this button. Like that. And then now I think I'm done. Now I need this. I need my JavaScript. So notice here, I'm simply doing on scripting. I've like unlike what I was doing before, where I was doing external scripting. Now literally I'm doing in scripting. But even in scripting still uses the same thing, function. Now we have a function that we need here, and the name of the function is this thing that we have here. So it's one that is on click there, because it's what I wanted to do there. And then inside, and then I'm going to write some code. So I'm going to write some code here, and then the code here, I need to have a constant, which is a paragraph. Which is a paragraph there, and then document. Remember what I was telling you about, that every time whenever we're using JS, we need to if we're using JS in a website, this is what we need to do. We need to say document dot. Okay, I can see. And then inside here, notice here, P. So literally what I'm simply saying that this function here called script text, I want it to do something to a paragraph. And this paragraph here is that paragraph that is called P. Anything that has a label P is the one that is going to change. And then what is supposed to change here? Simple. Change the content. Change the content. So if you press on the button, it's supposed to change the content. So that's what I need to tell it. So paragraph, I'm simply telling it paragraph dot text content. So I'm saying the content in the text on that particular paragraph change to something. What is it supposed to change it? So every time when the button is clicked, then it's supposed to change the text to text change with JavaScript or JS. Let's say JS. Yeah, that. Oh, I think so. And then now I can practice and then done. And from there, I think. Okay, and it was the script, and then I think I'm done. Here, and then it was my script here. Okay, that should be done. So notice here. Let me just zoom this a little bit. So now the first part here was just basic styling. We styled a button, we styled a paragraph, we styled the heading, and then we styled the body of our website. That is what we did. We just styled those things there. And then next up here, and then we wrote the content that we needed inside, and then we put a button. Now we want this button here to have a certain effect. Like for instance, what we've been doing in class mostly, or what you guys have been doing was how to use a button to, for instance, we're using a button to check, of which most of you are not even using buttons. We're using a link that is shaped as a button. That is not a button per se. It's a link that is shaped as a button, because buttons, for them to operate, you need JavaScript. Hence the reason why I was always adamant on the aspect of saying, okay, we learn JavaScript and then we use buttons. For now, you need to learn how to create something that looks like a button using a link, because that is a link, it's not exactly a button. So now a button has got the tag button, that is a button. And then most buttons, they've got an on-click event, hence you've got this on-click here. That is all buttons, they've got that on-click event, because you want a button to perform an activity or a task every time whenever you click on it. Hence we call it an on-click event. So here I'm telling the computer that when you click the button, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to change the text. But how do you change the text? Because I just wrote here change text. Then I went in, then I wrote a script here, which is a JavaScript. And then this script here, when it was written, it tells now what change text does. Hence, we call it a function called change text. And then in that function called change text, this is what you're supposed to do. Paragraph. Every time, whenever the text or whenever the button is clicked, document.query selector, I'm saying select a paragraph called P. And then after selecting that paragraph called P, and then change the text of the paragraph called P to text changed with JS. That's what I'm simply saying. So now let's see if it does the work that it's supposed to do, right? And then come here, and then where was I? No, it wasn't there. It's here. Yeah. So now if I write that, there we go. Notice here. Do you know this is JavaScript? It has done that. We've got this part here that we wrote, and then welcome to my page with CSS and JS. So now if I click here, it's supposed to change this text here. It's supposed to change it. So I click, boom. Notice the text changed with JS. That is what our website is supposed to do. Right? Click, then it says change, text change with JS. So that is what the code is simply supposed to do. So it was showing you now how active JavaScript is. So every time, whenever we're working JavaScript, like JavaScript is going to be a bit tricky because there's a lot of things that you need to learn, but it's a very fast language to learn. It's just that for you to be able to use certain elements about JavaScript, you need to understand now what each and every element, what each and every method and function does. Because a function is quite simple. You just call a function and rename it. And then from there, how then do you use that function? How do you code for that particular function? That's what we need to understand. But yeah, in simpler terms, this here is the use of JavaScript when it comes to styling websites. So do we have any question now based on that? Do you have any question based on that? Because that is what I wanted to show. Do you have any questions based on this?
Hey, sir, my mind is tired.
Yeah?
My mind is tired.
Your mind is tired.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's a lot going on here.
Like I'm pretty sure you are worried about the CSS and stuff. Don't worry about that. But the JavaScript side, which is your scripting there, this one here will be a little bit tricky. I know it's going to take some time for you guys to understand. But now at the same time, we've got a lot more content that we need also to cover. So which means you guys need to do a lot of research on your own, also on your side. But yeah.
Is it impossible to use only like CSS and HTML and not touch JavaScript? Like it's impossible.
Because remember, like when you're dealing with websites, you're dealing with forms and things like that. So it's impossible for you to be able to use JavaScript alone, especially if you're dealing with forms. You can't use HTML and CSS only, because you need to have JavaScript for those forms to work. Because otherwise, it's just be a form that looks nice on your website, but it's not gonna work. So yes, you can create a website using using CSS and HTML. You can make it nice, but for that website to be responsive, hence they call it responsive programming. For it to be responsive, JavaScript has to be used. Otherwise, it's pointless.
I get you, sir.
Yeah. So
they must link all the three together.
Yes, the three have to be able to work very, very well together.
Sir, can I ask you?
Yes.
Last year, Net, was the end of our website journey or phase. We added PHP. So I want to know, I thought maybe you're gonna introduce it to JavaScript. I don't know what does it have, PHP. Where does it fit?
I'm not using, we're not doing PHP.
Okay, we won't do it this year, or later we'll do it.
Nah, I doubt that you ever use PHP. Okay. Unless if maybe you're gonna find a job somewhere where they use PHP, but I doubt that very much, because like the current web technologies are leading us towards JavaScript. From JavaScript, I'm pretty sure you've heard of the term React. Everyone talking about React Native, React this, React that. So JavaScript and React, they work very well together. And then from there, from JavaScript and React, and then you actually from JavaScript, and then you're going to learn SQL, and then you're going to learn how SQL can use JavaScript code for it to work. So how we can join our databases using the same JavaScript code, because JavaScript is something that will be linking our app to the databases.
And so I'm seeing that the CSS is within the one page. Like when you're coding, you're also applying the CSS, or you're just giving us an example.
Yeah, I was just giving you an example. I just did an internal. I was giving an example. I just did an internal CSS so that I can avoid like creating
going back and forth. Yeah.
So sorry for disturbing you guys with this CSS here. because I know it's the one that made things appear as if it's a map.
last
Yeah,
time,
but it's
yes.
yeah. So the CSS here, I only did this because I didn't want to create another page and
Yeah, so
do
we
all
can
that stuff.
understand the changes. Okay, so I get
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Guys, the rest of us were too quiet here.
We are following, sir.
We are following.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Krebi. Otherwise, you understanding so far.
Like there's no much difference, so we just need more practice.
Okay, cool. At least you see that part.
Yeah. There's so much difference here.
Sepo is fighting here.
No, there's nothing different. It's just like an addition to what we know. So
Yeah.
do you understand? Like we're going deeper into it now.
You're going deeper. Thank you. Because that's the point. Because now what's happening is you guys are going deeper into, like, proper coding, unlike the scraping surface that we've been doing. We've been introducing to CSS, to HTML. As much as, yes, that is coding, but it is not coding. It is basically designing. You're making something look nice using a little bit of code here and there, and a little bit of maths when you're busy doing your your design there, the padding and stuff like that. Excuse me. But now when it comes to JavaScript, now you are making your design functional. So whatever design that you have, now it's going to be functional. It's going to be responsive, so that when a user is using your website, they are going to get feedback, because that is what you want. You want a user to be able to react with your website, because most times, most websites, they are there, people just scroll through, but they are not interacting. But JavaScript allows for interaction with your websites. Or actually, remember, guys, JavaScript is not just for websites. That's the whole reason why. That's what we call it software development. That's what we call it systems development, software development, because with JavaScript now, you can even measure into something called app development. You can measure even into game development. You can do all that stuff. Once you get to understand JavaScript, that's how powerful JavaScript is. It's a crazy powerful tool. So I hope you guys are enthused, because we still have a bit of work to do. Tomorrow, we're simply going to continue introducing more different aspects. And then tomorrow, what I'm going to do is I will try to see if we can code a little bit more in terms of how to style using JavaScript. Like, for instance, I already showed you how a pattern works. And then from there, and then we're going just to continue a bit more in terms of that. And then I'll see maybe if I can even create a login form tomorrow, and then use JavaScript to see how that form responds. So we're creating it in HTML, then you're going to style it in CSS, then you're going to use JavaScript for the form to function. Okay. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, the new guys, I hope, for the new guys, guys, don't feel left out, because one thing that is true is, even if you ask these guys that have been here for since level 4, they also, like, the stuff that we're covering now, they haven't covered it. From the HTML, we started afresh with everyone. CSS, I'm pretty sure everyone also, we started afresh, literally, with everyone. and then now JavaScript, everyone is also starting afresh. So you guys are not left out in anything. When even if I say, though you guys have done this, mostly referring to more probably experience, not in terms of the things that they have done, because what we're doing now, they might have done something related, but it's not exactly what we are doing right now. So as I said, don't feel left out. And if ever you have any questions, please always ask those questions that you have. Like, again, I will say this, that I will not promise to be like, to answer everything every time whenever people ask questions, but I'll try my best. I'll really try my best. And then I'll also look for a day when I can meet only the new guys, and then you will see like how to proceed, and if they have any questions, so that we can ask on a separate space. So yeah, I hope you guys will avail yourself. And then to everyone now, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Then we're just going to continue tomorrow, and then we cover up whatever that we need to cover up. I hope you guys have a nice day. Then we'll
Mr. Tao,
yes, sir.
oh, I was calling out your name. Didn't you hear me?
I just hate you now.
Maybe it's the network. I was asking if like so as we have started with HTML and CSS, so introducing the JavaScript, like the structure of our website, ain't it gonna change? It's like it's gonna be the way it is,
Yeah, it's not going to change. It's going to be the way it is.
or it's we're not supposed to like start over or something.
No. You can just simply continue from where you left off. And then I'm going to give you, though, a separate assignment for you guys to design a form. That will be a separate assignment, though.
All right.
Yeah. But
Okay,
that
cool.
will be, I will see maybe for the next, maybe in the next 3 or 4 weeks or so. I'll see. But I'll
Yeah.
give you an assignment for you guys to design a form using the JavaScript procedures and methods that we have used so far in class.
Okay, superb, sir.
Awesome. All right. I'll see you guys. You guys have a good day, and we'll meet again tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, guys. I'm by. Saying hamba. I'm done with my class.